Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here at 3Tier, here to bring you another awesome movie review, this time giving you my initial thoughts on the newly released Star Wars Anthology film simply titled Rogue One. Now, this movie was directed by Gareth Edwards and stars the cast of Felicity Jones, Diego Luna, Ben Mendelsohn, and Donnie Yen. And the plot, which I'm sure some of you can already expect, is that this takes place right before the events of A New Hope, in which it pretty much shows how the rebels got their hands on the Death Star plans. Now, I'm going to say this right off the bat. I really enjoyed Rogue One. This is definitely something I do plan on seeing at least one more time in theaters, maybe in 3D to see if the 3D was really significant. But what I really liked about this film was that Gareth Edwards was able to give a different type of tone of movie that fits perfectly in the Star Wars universe. And what I mean by that was that this feels very much like a war movie. It doesn't really have that kind of force-heavy, mystical feeling that you would get from, say, the Saga films. And it really feels like it is a much more grounded, gritty, dirtier, just war horrifying type of movie that really shows you just how nasty this conflict between the Empire and the Rebels really is on the ground without any major, force users really needing to be involved. Without question, the best element of this film are the battle scenes. The battle scenes are probably some of the best in the entire series, without question. I think that they are definitely better than most of the large-scale battles that we saw in the prequels, and I think that outside of maybe the Battle of Hoth, it's better than anything we've seen in the original trilogy. I think that with the enhancements in computer graphics that we've had over these past decades, it really elevates just how impressive these battles can look. Another thing that I also really liked, and I again praise Gareth Edwards for doing, was he was actually able to do something that has always been a consistent problem for me with the original trilogy, and that is he actually was able to make the Empire seem like a competent military force. As we all know, the Empire and its stormtroopers and all of its legionary forces have always seemed like a big practical joke. You can't really take them seriously. I mean, stormtroopers can't hit anything. Their generals, their admirals are just stupid. The Empire is run by just retarded people. But in this film, these guys really know what they're doing. Shockingly, stormtroopers can actually hit their enemies. I mean, this was a shock to me because I always thought that was just, an under-the-bed kind of joke. Something that was just a running joke throughout the franchise that, stormtroopers are just idiots. But no, this is actually a competent Imperial force that really knows how to use its advantages against the rebels and make an effective use of it. And I thought that moving forward, this is the Empire I want to see more of in other movies. Another thing that I really also liked about this film is I have to give serious kudos to the special effects department that were able to bring, this is kind of a small spoiler but not too much, bringing Tarkin back. I thought that the visuals on him were just incredible. I know that the actor had been dead for some time, but the fact that he looks so realistic and that he can interact with other actors and it actually looks like he's really there is impressive. I would absolutely love to see this be done in other movies because there's just so many actors that are like kind of old now that we can actually make them look young and actually have them have a major presence in the movie. So overall, if you're looking for a movie that's just overall enjoyable with the action, you're gonna get it here. Now, the weakest element, at least for me, was, to be honest, the characters. My big issue with the characters, I don't really think we spent enough time with them as individuals, and I don't really think we spent enough time with them as a team to really care about them. What I mean by that is that compared to the grand characters like Luke Skywalker or Han Solo or Princess Leia, these characters feel relatively small and expendable. So if anything were to happen to these characters, I honestly did not care one bit because I don't really know that much about them because we spent very little time with them. They don't really have much of a character arc, or at least I didn't feel they did. It felt like, at least overall with the film, like these were small characters that were taking part in a big event. Because they're so small and insignificant, they don't feel all that important. It's kind of like saying that if a big character does a big thing in this franchise, it matters. But if a small character does a big thing, though it matters, the character themselves doesn't matter. It's kind of like a line that I heard in the animated series, like how this should have ended when it came to Return of the Jedi, when Mar Mothma is kind of talking about how many rebels died for this you know, to get this ship or get this information. And they turn to the rebels, and the rebels just say, "Lady, all we do is die. Except for the A team over there." And that's kind of how this team felt. It just felt completely expendable. Another thing that I was really kind of disappointed with was the use of Vader. Now, anyone who's expecting to see a good amount of Vader, I would really lower your expectations in this movie, because he's really not in the movie long enough. You really could take him out and the movie wouldn't change. I mean, he has like a big moment at the end. My problem with that big moment, because I know people are gonna say, you know, Vader was a total badass, which he was, but it feels very inconsistent to how he is leading up into A New Hope. Because, just tiny spoiler, but Vader is moving relatively fast and moving in ways that don't feel consistent to how he was moving in A New Hope. And I know that some people say, well, that was just the limitations at the time, but story-wise, they could have done something with Vader to kind of explain why he was like that going into A New Hope, and they really missed the ball with that. And the final issue that I had with the film was just the fact that I think that there was a number of moments in the movie that I think could have been cut out because they don't really add up. I mean, we do all this planet jumping, and it doesn't really add up to anything. There were several number of scenes that I think that if you took them out, the movie would have had better pacing, and it wouldn't have changed where characters or where the story was going. You literally could take that part out and the movie wouldn't change. So overall, Rogue One is undoubtedly flawed, but I think that its positives well outweigh the negatives. And I know that some people might have different feelings because I didn't really like the character. I think the only character that really stood out to me that I liked the most was K2 the robot. I think that most people will probably like the characters more than I did, but I think that everyone will agree that and this definitely feels like a different type of Star Wars movie, and the special effects really are the stars of this movie. Now, if I had to give Star Wars Rogue One a rating, I'm going to give it a B-. Definitely check this movie out. I'm not sure if you need to see this in 3D. I'm going to see it the second time in 3D just to see if the 3D is worth it. But if you are a fan of action and want to see a different type of tone Star Wars movie, then definitely check Rogue One out. If you like this movie review, feel free to like, comment down below, and please subscribe to check my future movie reviews. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will see you next time.